Sanibona again, ngiyabingelela kunina abalimi nani enisafisa ukuthi ningene endimeni yokulima. UScotch lona umalembili. We're going deep into the things that we have to look at as the new or upcoming farmers. Today I just want to talk about where to start on farming. I've touched based on my previous video whereby I explained that once you have acquired the three basic things, of which I didn't go into details, once you have acquired the land, where most of the people who are not producing fresh produce is because they will say, I don't have a land to produce it, but I've loved it, but I don't have a land. And then there are other people that has the land, but the land that they have doesn't have water. And the fresh produce needs a lot of water. So sometimes you find that they're not producing because of the reason that there is no water. Or there is water, but they don't know how to spread that water into the entire field, how to install the irrigation system. So those are other things that we're going to be talking about as we go along. And then once you've got land and water or the irrigation system, most of the farmers, they tend to have a problem with the machineries to work the land, the tractors and the equipment and the proper equipment to work the land. So all of those things are the things that upcoming farmers, they tend to have the problem with. And then once they've acquired these three things, it's the basic things that you have to acquire first before you can start to say you're a farmer, you're a fresh produce farmer. Now, the challenge that most of the farmers that experience is that once they've got these three things, they think that they will plant what they like. They will plant what they love to plant. Or they will plant what they think is profitable. And then they make the biggest mistake of planting what they want to plant without having somebody to buy it, without knowing who they're going to sell it to. Okay, now this is where I want us to talk about, like, as the farmer who's farming commercially, because for you to become a commercial farmer is whereby you're producing the food not only for your own consumption, but for you to sell. And most of the commercial farmers, you find that they're producing the food that they don't even consume themselves because they are planting for the market. They're taking it into market, they're taking it to retail stores. So those are the people that we say they are at the commercial scale. And for you who's still farming at your backyard garden, or you're still planting maybe in a commune garden, but whatever that you're producing it for your own consumption, then we cannot say it's a commercial farming, that one. Or else, even if you're distributing it to street vendors, distributing it to the people that are selling it in the informal market. Yes, you are now starting to get into commercial scale, but you are not fully at a commercial scale. Yeah, but you will talk about that. We'll go in deeper into that topic at a later stage. Now, I just want to talk about the person who's producing at a commercial scale, a person who says that I want to produce at a commercial scale, and I don't only want to do it for my own consumption, and I also don't want to focus on informal market, but I also want to focus on the formal market as well. The formal market now, this is what I'm going to refer to as the commercial scale. Okay, with anyone who's here, who's got the land, water, even if you don't have your own plowing machineries equipment, that one you can outsource it. You can ask the people around, only to find that the people that are around, there are tractors that are there for hire. It's better maybe to hire instead of buying, up until you have the resources of buying those equipment that you think you need them more often or more regularly. So you can outsource the machineries, but now you have to understand what to plant. What you plant, you don't plant because you want that thing. You plant because somebody tells you that produce this thing for us. If you don't have somebody who's going to buy for you from you, it's a high risk. It's a high risk because whatever that you're producing, once it get matured, once it get ready to be harvested, you don't have enough time to start looking for markets. You don't have enough time because by the time you get somebody who comes to buy from you, you will be under pressure that this produce has to go. Otherwise, it's no longer fresh. It's no longer relevant for the market. Okay, now I want us to talk about how to start once you have came to that level of saying, now I want to produce for formal markets. You start by getting the market. Get the market. Get the person that's gonna buy from you. Well, other people, they would say it's hard to get the market. Yes, it may be hard to get the market because you don't have an experience and you haven't been there, you haven't been producing. But once you've produced and you know the game, it's easier to get the market because the market needs farmers, need fresh producers. They need more than what you can think of. It's just that you haven't produced food for them. Okay, if you don't have the market, try to get the agent. Very important. Try to get the agent because the agent will guide you, will tell you what is needed by when, and will tell you what is profitable when and is not profitable when. So the agent is more there as the scout, as the person who will be your mentor, as the person who will be your guidance. Whenever you've got anything, they will guide you. They will tell you that we want things like this, we want this quality, we want this quantity, and by this time. So it's very important to get the agent. And if you want to get the agent and the agent which is more professional, which is more able to help you, and you don't know some of those agents, please share with me. I will assist you. Okay. Then we're coming into now on the produce because I don't always prefer people to have the male people that will be there. Even though those people that they will be there, they will still be guiding you. But you also have to go to the direct market. Direct market. Even if you can't get it into the retail stores, because retail stores wants to see what you've got now. Most of the time, they will not tell you that go and produce like this for us. They would just say, just bring the quantity and the quality that we need. Give us the sample. Where is that? So they don't have time to guide you. They don't have the time to take you step by step. But the agent will be able to do that. Will be able to take you step by step on how to get it there. Okay, let me give you an example on what the agent will say to you. You come to me. Suppose I am the market agent for Spa. You come to me and say, Scott, what can I sell? What can I plant that will sell? You start now to see that what you need to plant now, what will be needed the most by that time. If I'm saying what will be needed the most, all the food that we produce, all the food that comes from the fields, it's always needed in high quantities. And of course, in good quality, but it needed in high quantities. But now the market fluctuates because of whenever there is an excess of the fresh produce available on the market, the price is definitely going to drop down. Why is it so? Because there's an access and everyone wants to sell their fresh produce. Then the prices on the market goes down. For you to sell, the prices will go down. But the prices on the street, it will not go down as how it's supposed to be because the stores still want to get as more profit as they can. But there will be the dropping down of the prices. If there's a dropping down of the prices, it shows that there's an excess of this, there's an abundance, or the farmers, they've produced more than what the people are consuming. They supply. Then once there's supplies, because of the osmosis thingy, because of the osmosis system, because of everyone don't want to have more of the abundance and scarcity on certain things, then the farmers start to change and produce what is scarce, what is less in the market, what is not available, so that it will balance up the excess and the scarcity. So what they do then is the market agent. What do? They explain to you as an upcoming farmer that at this time of the year, from where you are, because it's very important to understand or to make a person understand that where you are bound by the weather conditions, you are bound by the season, you are bound by the market that is there. So it's very important to understand where you are, because where you are, they will tell you that you cannot produce this by this time because the weather will not be suitable for what you want to produce. That's number one. Two, what you want to produce is not going to do well if you're producing it at 3 months or 4 months down the line from now. Why? Because everyone will be producing it by look at the season. It's more productive to produce that, then there will be more of it, there will be access of it. So all the time you try by all means to go away with the market. If there's excess, you don't produce less. If there's scarcity, you try to produce more. So that's how we try to balance up the system. So we guide you through that. Suppose I just want to make I would say the high in demand produce in South Africa and the northern part of KwaZulu-Natal. The produce which is needed the most and needed at high volume, at high quantities, it's cabbage. Yes, you heard me, cabbage. Cabbages, it's needed in high quantities, and it's needed in more volumes than what you can think of when it comes to fresh produce. So I would make you an example on why I'm saying this. As a market agent, if you come and say, what can I produce? We'll tell you that, okay, let us go down. Let us go down and visit one of the stores that we work with. We'll take you into the stores that take the fresh produce, but those stores only to find that you are already supplying them. But while you are supplying those stores, there is still a high demand for the produce that you are supplying. Then you say, I just want to introduce this farmer. This farmer is got the capability from the land has water, and the land is workable. He has the equipment, or else you have seen the land, you've seen how are you going to guide that person to be able to produce that. And once you start to produce on for commercial scale, it's also important to know the numbers, because it's always about the numbers. Okay, first of all, for you to produce commercially, you need at least a minimum of a hectare. A minimum of a hectare, a place which is more than a hectare is either a hectare upward. But if you are working on a land which is less than a hectare, it depends on what you're producing. But what you are producing in an area, in a land which is less than a hectare, it will be probably hard to produce the crops that are in high demand. Okay, what is a hectare? A hectare is 100 meter by 100 meter. Whatever these numbers you can play around, as long as 100 meter by 100 meter, that's a hectare. If it's 150 meters this side, it's going to be 50 meters this side. Okay, all right. Then you say you come into a market agent. You've already got a place, probably let's just say for calculation purposes, you've got a land which is a 5 hectare you want to produce. What you want to produce, you want to be known for at least one produce before you introduce other produce, unless you are producing heads, you're producing items that are not needed in big quantities, then you can do like varieties of produce. But if you wanna meet on a commercial scale and you wanna go for in-demand produce, you need to have at least a bigger land. Okay, I'll make an example for you. You coming to me, you're asking, what can I produce? Then I take you saying, you see, let us go into the supermarket which is nearer to you. I'll give you just one supermarket, one retail store, one commercial store that is near to you, and say, we just want you to supply this produce, making an example like the cabbage. I'm taking you to either Spar or Pick n Pay or Boxer, the store which is closer to you. Introduce you that this is what you're going to be producing. We first work the numbers and say, for you to supply, let us give an example, a one retail store, Spar. Suppose Spar they will say, come to you and say, we are buying on normal basis, on normal days. We normally takes about 500 cabbages. And the 500 cabbages that we take, it lasts us, say, 2 to 3 days. And after that, we need another 500 cabbages. That means that you have to supply them twice a week. You give them on Monday 500 cabbages. Then they're going to come back again on Thursday and say, give us another 500 cabbages. And this 500 is going to last them over the weekend until they need another one on Monday. That means in a week, they already need 1,000 rand, 1,000 cabbages. Then they will say that this 1,000, if we need 1,000 cabbages a week, already budget that you should have at least 4,000 cabbages that will be going through to this store a month. But in this, month, in these days, there are times where we need the cabbages in big quantities. It's when it's 15th, because on the 15th, there is the demand of the cabbage. And why there's a demand is because there are people that are getting paid on the 15th. So there will be more orders. Instead of asking for 500, they're probably going to be asking for 1,000. If it's not 1,000, instead of ordering 1,000, they're still going to be ordering 500, but the 500 is only going to be lasting less than the normal days that they normally last if there's no busy. And then you find that probably they will be asking you for 3 deliveries in 1 week. That means it's no longer 1,000, it's a 1,500. And then they will say, comes the 25th. From the 25th up to the end of the month, the 30th or the 31st, we also need it in large quantities. And after that method, it's where there is the high demand. High demand. Where the high demand comes from the government, because the government is the biggest buyer than everyone that can buy from you. If you are supplying government on the cabbages, you definitely need like a big scale, because they are the biggest buyer and they are also the biggest payer. And if there's a biggest payer, those who are receiving those payments, they need more of your produce. They need more of your produce, because for you don't have to be the government benefiter to benefit from the government, because you'll be benefiting from the people that will be buying from you. If they are getting anything from the government, it could either be the 350s or the old age, or for the disabled, or the employees of government. At that time, there is the high demand from the first up until probably the first or second week of the month. And it normally lasts up until the 7th or the 8th, where every pensioner, everyone that receives government grants has received their grant. Because whenever they receive those government grants, and most of those people, somehow, some of the money goes on to buying groceries, buying fresh produce. And then once they buy fresh produce, there will also be the high sales of your produce. Then, in that case, means that whatever that you will be supplying on store, it will be needed in high quantity. Now we said on normal basis, they need about 4,000, but because of this fluctuation of there's a high demand and all of that, you probably budget, say, for like 5,000 cabbages a month just to accommodate that, or even more, or you say like 6,000, just to make sure that you've covered the sub whatever the demand that they might have. And then you go back into your field. Now you're working with these numbers in your head that you need at least 6,000 just to make sure that you're supplying the store continuously without ever saying that you don't have any cabbage anymore. With the 6,000 heads of cabbages that you have now in mind, you go back, then you start by plowing, by transplanting that 6,000. You know that this 6,000 is for, you look at the cabbage, when will it be ready for the market? If it's going to be ready in the next, say, 4 months from now, then you start to say, this one is for that month, the 6,000. Then after probably 2 or 3 weeks, then you plant another 6,000 on your field. This 6,000, it makes like 24,000. That's full for a hectare. 24,000 full for a hectare. You have saturated your field, 1,000 hectare of cabbages. It's only for how many months? It's only for 2 months. Then on the third month, you also do the same after, say, 2 to 3 weeks. Then you plant another batch of 6,000. This one is for now for the third month. And then on the same month, you also plant another 6,000. Then that one is for the fourth month. Now you've planted the cabbage for the store, for one store, in just 2 hectares. You've planted probably 2 hectares. In these 2 hectares, what you did, because a hectare, depending on the spacing of your cabbage and the spacing in between your cabbages, 25,000 is sufficient for a hectare if you're planting it properly, because the spacing also determines on the size of the cabbage. Okay, then you've planted in the 2 hectare, you've got, say, 50,000 cabbages. 50,000, then you'll be able to supply the store. You'll be able to maintain the store with just 2 hectares, because you will be doing like 6,000, 6,000, 6,000, 6,000, 6,000, 6,000. And how do you plant? You plant it all year round, and you're planting with the spacing that, let me first finish this block. Every time when they need the cabbage, goes to this store on this block. And once you finish that block, we come to the second block. You finish this block, come to the third block. Finish this third block, we come on the fourth block. And you don't stop that sequence. You always planting. If you started to plant, say, suppose you're starting to plant in January, you know that in January, it will be ready probably in end of April, May, or let's just say it will be ready by April on the 4th month, on the end of April. That means you will be having the cabbage from the end of April. As long as you don't stop planting 6,000 every month, you won't have a shortage of the cabbages because you will be planting all year round. You will only stop planting when the season is not suitable for you to plant. You started planting in January. Excuse me. You started to plant in January for end of April, end of May, end of June, July, August. Then once it comes to September, then you say, thank you, I have to do something else because my land doesn't want me to produce this produce. It's no longer productive because there will be so much demand and there will be so much rains that will be affecting my produce, or maybe the weed and the pest and all of that. And you also want to rotate what you're doing, because once you planted the cabbage and you harvest it, you cannot return the cabbage on the same land. That's why I say that you need at least 5 hectares, because from this hectare, it will only be for 1 month, but once it's finished, you cannot return the cabbage. You have to plant something else. And that is what we will be talking about it at the later stage. At least now you understand, Guti, where to start, how to do it. And whenever you're doing that and you coming to me and say, what to produce, that is what I need you to understand first. And then once I've given you that store, because the store, they don't want them a fly by night. They don't want the ones off suppliers. Just because when you planted 1 hectare, or 2 hectares, of 50,000 cabbages, and you're thinking that you're going to take it all into one store, then you're going to be shooting yourself on the foot. That's why I say that. Understand how to do it. The store need it in small quantities, but consistently. And once you do that, once you maintain the consistency, once the store say, bring your fresh produce and it's of good quality and it's of right size, the store will say, give us more, give us more, give us more, until they say, you know what, just come in. We just want to put you on board because you are producing the good quality and you are doing it consistently. You're not doing it just once off. You don't have a time where you say, now I don't have any cabbages. Once you say that you don't have any cabbages, then gone. Probably not going to be coming back to you for the next time, because once you open the gap for somebody else to come in and you're not there, sooner you will be focusing. You'll be focusing, especially on the fresh produce market, because we need fresh produce all year round. We shouldn't be planting at the certain season, because people don't eat at certain season, they don't have it in certain season. Plant all year round. The only thing that you do is to rotate, is to know that this one I have to rotate, I have to do this one, because there will be less of this and there will be more of this. I hope this information gets into your mind and gets into your understanding on what to do. Until next time, guys, thank you so much. Thank you for your time.